Hi, it's Hallie,
And Lily and Mia.
and we are bringing a nice raw conversation around Myobrace, where Lily and Mia are going to share today their thoughts, their perspectives, their experience on Myobrace firsthand because they have used it following other expansions. So jump on in and get ready to hear from a 6.5-year-old and an 8.5-year-old on what they think about Myobrace. Quick disclaimer, all information, content, and material of this podcast are the opinions of the speakers and is for the informational purpose only and not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, and or medical treatment of a qualified healthcare provider. Welcome to the Untethered Podcast. I am your host, Hallie Bulkin. I'm a certified myofunctional therapist, feeding specialist, podcaster, business owner, and mentor. This podcast is all about getting your questions answered and collaborating with colleagues to bring you the most up-to-date information in the orofacial myofunctional therapy, airway, tethered oral tissue, and pediatric feeding therapy space. If you're new here, I challenge you to keep an open mind and join my mission to spread this message far and wide. If you've been around since June 2019, thanks for being a loyal listener. As we jump into today's episode, remember to listen with correct oral rest posture. Tongue up, lips closed, teeth apart, breathe through your nose. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. We are going to jump right on in. So I'm going to let Lily talk to us first about her experience with Myobrace. I'm not even going to ask her any questions. I just want her to share with you all like what she thinks about it and what her experience has been so far. So Lily, take it away.
The Myobrace is really uncomfy in my mouth, and somehow Mia keeps it in the whole night, but I keep spitting it out, and I think it's not working because I feel like it just, since I can't keep it in, it won't work. And
What is it that you think it's supposed to do when you say it's not going to work? Like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, like, I don't even know what it's supposed to do. So whatever it's supposed to do, I don't think that it's going to do that.
Okay, but you sometimes say something to me that you're afraid you're going to have to get something if this doesn't work. What is it that you're thinking you might have to get if the Myobrace doesn't work?
Braces.
So it's supposed to be preventing you from getting braces, or?
Yes, yeah, so preventing us from getting braces.
Okay, so let me give them a little bit of back history just in case you're new here and you have not listened to other episodes. Lily had ALF appliance for early expansion at age 4 to 5, and so she got some really good expansion. Then she moved when we moved to South Florida, because we were living up in the Maryland area when she had the ALF appliance. When we moved to South Florida, we started going to North Miami, and that's where you got your additional expansion, right? And so you had a Hyrax expander, rapid palatal expander put in, and that expander had a forward growth component that was customized and added to it. So it was more than just your typical Hyrax expander, because a lot of people hear rapid palatal expander, they hear Hyrax, they think it really only grows the palate on one plane, but our goal was to grow the palate on 3 planes because we had an airway focused dentist down here who helped us with this. So you had upper and lower expansion again when we moved down here, and you got some beautiful expansion in your palate. You went into some permanent expanders for like a month or so, very temporary period of time, until we then had you start using the Myobrace. And the goal of the Myobrace was to continue to guide the growth and to hold the growth that you already got, right? So that you didn't have your expansion that you got. We didn't want your upper or lower jaw to collapse. And we wanted to continue to guide your growth and not have you locked up in like a permanent appliance over time, so that as you continue to grow, as you lose teeth, as your adult teeth grow in, the Myobrace is supposed to help guide and hold what you've already got, plus guide future growth, with the goal to hopefully avoid like braces down the line. So when Lily says, she doesn't think it's working and she doesn't want braces, that is what she's ultimately referring to. Now, Lily, will you hold it up and show everybody who's watching on YouTube what your Myobrace looks like? Okay, so Lily is in a step 1 Myobrace, and for her, And when I say step one, it's based on like her age and the size of her palate. And so it is a medium size. Lily put it in so everybody can see if they're watching. So she can very easily put the Myobrace in. The issue that we've had, and her airway is completely clear. We've had scans and everything. We know that she looks good. She's holding expansion, but we've noticed that she can't keep the Myobrace in her mouth for more than a couple hours per night. She tends to like gag on it, and she's not choking, because I know the difference between gagging and choking, but many would think she was choking from the way that she's gagging. And ultimately her body is rejecting or spitting out that Myobrace within an hour of two of being asleep. So it's not staying in her mouth overnight. She wakes up with it and it's somewhere in her bed. So she has to like dig it out of her sheets. And yeah, that's been your experience. So I know Dr. Barahel, I believe, who's our dentist down here, gave you another Myobrace to switch to, right? If you are ready to switch to it, but we haven't switched to it because we haven't been able to keep this in your mouth overnight. So what was a suggestion that you and I were talking about? Like, what was a solution that we came up with in order to help you wear your Myobrace more? Like, instead of wearing it at night.
I have to wear it during the day.
Right. So we kind of did that a little bit today, and you wore it for a little period of time, but not really even more than an hour, I don't think. So the goal is like when you come home from school after you have your snack, if you're home and not running to after school activities, like let's wear the Myobrace. Lily, please share your thoughts.
The Myobrace, like, it kind of makes it hard to swallow because I think I spit it out at night because it's hard to swallow because when I swallow, my tongue kind of like
Pushes it out.
Yeah, so it's because there's so much spit in my mouth that I'm holding in there, and I can't swallow it because of the Myobrace, so that's why I think I spit it out at night.
And this has been one of my concerns for some kids. I feel like the Myobrace is too bulky for some children, and even if they have enough space for it to be in their mouth and they're no longer tongue-tied, or they're not tongue-tied at all, and they don't have lip ties or buccal ties, and they have enough expansion to hold the Myobrace, even with all those boxes, checked, if you will, there are some kids that I've seen that really struggle to keep it in their mouth. And so that's what we've experienced with Lily. I had my hesitations and reservations around Myobrace, which I've shared in the past, especially as a standalone appliance, as all of these appliances, if you will, that are removable, that require a high level of compliance. I've seen how with some children, with all things controlled for otherwise, it's just not a good system. Then there's some children who use it and have, better experiences and results. But I do feel like these appliances also really require a perfect airway, because it does force your lips to be apart. It makes it very challenging to close your lips around it. And so if there's any airway issue at all, I actually don't feel it's very safe. But that's my personal professional experience and opinion around that. So Lily, is there anything else you want to tell us about the Myobrace? Please share.
Wait, what did you just say? It was like something about
that for some kids, it's not the best solution.
Like I can't it's hard to close my lips around it. So.
But you normally have your lips closed, especially when she's sleeping. And I check on her throughout the night. Her lips are always closed. So, I had my concerns around putting an appliance in her mouth that was so bulky that could potentially lead to the lips being apart at rest, especially when sleeping, when you normally have your lips together. Any other thoughts you want to share before Mia shares her experience? No? Okay. So we're going to switch over to Mia, who does have a cold this week. So if you're watching and her mouth has been open a little bit, or you hear her coughing, sneezing, or heavily breathing, that's okay, because she's congested and might need to do that right now to breathe, right? Yes. Okay. So Mia has her Myobrace here. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Mia, do you want to put it in and I almost dropped it. Do you want to put it in and show them what it looks like? There you go. And so this is your second one already? Yeah, so she had one. Her mouth was, even after expansion, she still had a very tiny mouth. Now, keep in mind, she was also expanded around age 4 and finished during like her pre-K year with her expansion. Then she also fought like Lily was, it was upper and lower, Hyrax with forward growth component. She never did ALF. We skipped the slower expansion route with the ALF appliance because, which is alternative light wire functionals for anybody who's wondering. But we skipped that because she had croup 9 times as a 3-year-old and had basically chronic croup and upper airway and upper respiratory infections throughout infancy into toddlerhood and her preschool years. And so, after she had been put on so many steroids, dexamethasone repeatedly, we had inhalers. She was kind of headed on. We were working, had gone to a pulmonologist and other specialists, and she was like headed towards that lifetime airway issue diagnosis, one of those diagnoses where they basically said she looks like a kiddo who's going to head into having asthma. My goal was to not have her enter into a lifetime diagnosis of asthma. And so we did go into that early expansion and we went straight into the rapid expansion at her age without, starting slower, which I did consider. But the research basically shows that when you have a kiddo with chronic upper respiratory infections, it is suggested that they would do better and that they really need that rapid expansion to open the airway. Thankfully, we have had much fewer sicknesses and colds. I feel like whenever Mia's home with one, we sometimes record podcast episodes because we take that opportunity to record some. I feel like in a couple of the episodes, I'm like, Mia's homesick right now, or Mia has a cold. So if you, hear her coughing, that's why, right? But she's not typically sick. And I will say that when she does get a cold or she does get an upper airway thing these days, it does not turn into croup. It's very rare that we've had a croup episode since expansion. I think where we had 9 in 1 year, we've maybe had 1 or 2 max in the past 2 years at this point. So typically it's just a cold. You can hear her coughing a little bit, but not typically croup, thank goodness. And if it's anything that starts to resemble that barky cough, like we're able to kind of curb it and catch it before it gets worse. So yay for that. Okay, so Mia, I would love for you to share with us your experience with the Myobrace. What do you think about it?
Well, I used to have a smaller one, but then I moved on to a second one because that one was getting too small and it was staying in my mouth. So I moved on to a K2.
And that one is, I think, still a size small, but the one you were in was even smaller, right? So this one is smaller than your sister's, but show them. It has some you can kind of see through if you hold it up for them. You can see through, it has like a white shape inside where you can kind of see the design. It's very cool. Lily's does not have that same build out, if you will. I think maybe your next one might, Lily, but we're not there yet. Tell us about how it is for you at night.
Like it stays in my mouth, but I don't know why.
You don't know why it stays in your mouth?
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't stay in Lily's mouth, but I also don't know why it stays in my mouth.
Yeah, we're not sure why it does, but it does for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would not have started with this as the first. It was one of the things we discussed. And because of you getting croup so much, we were like, nope, this is not a good thing for Mia to start with. We need faster expansion than this will give us, right? So we decided not to start with Myobrace, not to start with ALF, and to go straight into the Hyrax expanders with that forward growth component, upper and lower. And then the same thing that we're doing with what we were doing with Lily is what we did with you, where we said, okay, we're going to go into some permanent expanders for like a month or 2, and then we're going to go into the Myobrace to help guide continued growth. Yes, Mia?
Like, when I'm sick, I'll wear it to bed, like if I'm really stuffy, because I'll obviously just, like, spit out because I'm sneezing.
Right. So, or coughing, or it's harder to breathe and you need to mouth breathe. And that's the other thing too, right? So we've seen that when you are sick, like right now you have a cold, we don't typically wear it because you can't keep your mouth closed. And so then it kind of blocks your airway if you need to mouth breathe because your nose is stuffy or running, right? So that also, I guess, goes back to speaking to my concern about kids with upper airway issues or severe congestion or chronic open mouth breathing. If there is an airway blockage, is this a safe appliance to use? And arguably my vote is no, because we should not be making the path of least resistance a greater path of resistance, if that makes sense. What else would you like to tell us about it? Anything else? Is that it?
So, like, there's different Myobraces. Like, there's the K1, K2, but I don't know if there's any else because I haven't got any other one.
Yeah, there are other ones, that more advanced ones. And we actually were supposed to have a follow-up appointment that I had to reschedule because Lily had some testing and we didn't want her to miss that test. So, because there's like a bazillion tests at the end of her school year right now. So we have to reschedule the appointment to go. And I have a feeling you might be moving into the next one. And
Me?
yeah, you. And what's interesting too, that I think is interesting actually, is that there's these like little holes inside the Myobrace. And I actually have some concerns over it, and I don't think I want you wearing it anymore because one of the white wires in it started poking through and coming through the plastic, like it's broken, and around. So it's kind of, remember, it was like poking into your tongue, but it's also looking dirty to me. And so no, even though we clean this thing frequently, like I'm actually worried that there's mold in this. So I don't know how other people keep this clean with the plastic pieces inside of the blue piece, but like boiling it, or I mean, I don't know if we can, I haven't tried that. We follow other instructions on, how to keep it clean, but I'm actually not a fan of one, plastic in the mouth, and two, things that are hard to clean because we know they can carry mold. So that's my thoughts on that. Anything else you want to add?
Like it has like these holes and it's like brown, so like it's dirty basically, and like this keeps like coming out. It will come out even if Mama puts it back in.
Yeah, do you guys see that little white wire sticking out there? So that's been happening, and we did pop it back in like twice now. But one, I don't think it's very safe for her to continue wearing. And again, I'm seeing, and we clean this every day, but I'm seeing like some yucky build up in there. So won't be wearing that anymore. Guess it's time for the next one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to tell us, or is that it?
Nothing else.
Lily, anything else you want to tell us? Speak in the mic.
Well, my Myobrace has the same exact holes, but it hasn't been getting dirty, and there hasn't been any dirt inside of it.
Okay. How about you, Mia?
So, like, it's supposed to help you with your airway, and like, if it like stays in your mouth, like you won't have to get braces.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Yep. All right. Well, thank you both for joining us and sharing your experience with your Myobrace. I know our listeners really appreciate it because they sometimes ask me what I think about it, and they also want to know what you guys think about it. So we always appreciate you coming on here and doing updates, because now that you've had it for a while, you can actually talk about your experience with it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you found value in this episode and want to hear more of these MyoTots airway and feeding related episodes, be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share this episode on your social media platforms. You can access free resources and all I offer at HallieBulkin.com, or pop over to @HallieBulkin on Instagram to get all the latest updates.